I said action.
Okay. All right. So
Talk to me.
Jay,
Yeah.
those little round things right there.
All right, so yeah, this is what I do when you're dealing with headers that aren't round. So headers, not heifers. Anyways, that's a different story.
Okay, going on.
So typically, like say, header flange would be round,
Yep.
big block Chevy. You can put the tube right in, the tube would go right in there.
Yep.
Well, obviously that's not the case on this is a Mopar deal. So if you have the room and you could put this stub on here and you don't have to go directly into a bend, let's say, which I have the room to do this, I put like a 2-inch stub. I put this end in my vise and smash it down basically to fit this area here. Now I don't go all the way in, I just go about like right about there till I get the shape I want. That's what this is representing. This is already in there. So it goes in. Now see, the problem is though, is when you're left with that, now you have this shape out here. So then I put it back in the vise like this to straighten it out, to make it round again. And then you can see that this deal here fits pretty good. I mean, good enough. It's not perfect. Now I also take that over to the belt sander and flatten it out. Because when you smash that, it kind of makes it like dished. So you just got to flatten it out. So this tube, because the tighter you get these fitting, which most people probably know, just the better overall deal. Now, I don't typically like to add weld joints. Like this to me is like an extra weld joint that you really wouldn't need. But for this application, I found that I could build these headers faster by just going ahead and putting the stubs in there and building off the stubs. I'm able to build them faster than trying to go directly, like the tube, go directly in there and get it clocked right and stuff. It just ends up being more time. So this is more time effective, even though you're adding an extra weld joint.
All right, so build some headers. We'll see the finished product, okay?
Okay. So these are the flanges that I was working on the bench, and now they're on the engine, and I'm ready to start making the headers. Action!
Okay, so, they're about to watch you weld a lot of welding and dilly-dallying. But this is a question I have. Why you got a hose coming out the end of it?
Okay, so it's stainless headers, and stainless requires what they call either purging or back gassing, and that's basically putting argon inside of the tube to shield the back side of the weld. Some people say it's not necessary. I feel that it is 100% necessary to have a nice clean weld, and so that's why I do that.
Is that why you put the green tape on the end of it too?
So the green tape goes over all of the weld joints, except obviously the one that I'm welding. And as I go down the line, I just remove the tape and weld the joint. And it's simply just on there to keep the shielding gas from coming out of the unwelded joint.
Sweet. Okay, so obviously every car you've done has been different. Some of them are teeny tiny and some of them have a lot of space in there.
Right.
So what are the steps that you take before you you're welding in this video, but what are the steps you take before you start welding?
So basically I determine the length of the primary tubes that I want to try to achieve for, what engine or, that's basically where I start, is length of primary tubes. Then you actually have to figure out how to fit it all into the car. So sometimes that changes things, but and then I also like to make sure that I can get full steering. A lot of times you see these cars come in and they can't steer the car because the headers that were on it were in the way basically. So it always starts with length, but then that will change as I'm trying to achieve steering and fitting it in the car.
Okay, so when we order the kit from Christopher from Stainless Works, when we order that kit, you always ask me for those extra J bends. Is that why? So
right. So I could take from that J bend, because a kit starts off with 12 J bends. That's what you start off with, and I need to cut out of those J bends what I need to make that header tube. So that's that's what it all starts off with a J bend, you know, and then
Yep.
I determine what I need out of that J bend.
So when we say these are custom built headers, there's no set that's exactly the same?
Yeah, they're absolutely truly custom built. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Because some people's come out the side and...
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing, depending on how the customer wants them ran, you know, out the side or underneath or however they want it, you know, I got to try to make it that way. So it's truly custom.
So, Jay, I know that people are always trying to achieve equal length headers.
No, not everybody, but I try to achieve equal
Okay, well,
length.
Jason, not everybody's as
not
good as
everybody.
Jason.
Some people just connect the dots. So
Okay,
yeah.
so Jason is always trying to achieve equal length headers. What is your philosophy behind that?
I mean, not necessarily my philosophy, but the idea behind it is equal length headers. If the primary tube length is correct, as the exhaust gas is leaving one tube, it is pulling the exhaust gas out of the next tube, so which creates a scavenging effect. So if you achieve that scavenging effect, basically the engine is just working more efficiently and you can make some power. And typically why I like to do that is not necessarily that the header is going to make you power, but equal length headers will never rob power, will never cost you power. So that's why I always try my best to do that, because hey, if you make some more power, that's a bonus, but you're not going to lose any.
So we keep saying stainless works, stainless works, stainless works, because that's who we deal with. But is there a preference, or is there something why do we choose stainless over your regular steel header?
I think, in my opinion, is if you get to the point where you feel like you need custom headers made, the labor's the same. You know, you're going to have the same time and labor. So I always feel like spend a little bit more, get the stainless, because the stainless will last you forever. I've seen countless of steel headers that have just rotted out. I've replaced plenty of them with stainless, and that's why I just feel like that's the best route to go. Is it's a little bit more money material wise, but it's the same labor wise. So just go with something that's going to last. I mean, those headers are going to last you forever.
So you could get a custom built header that's going to last you a lifetime, and they look awesome sauce.
They're pretty much the last headers you'll need for that car, unless you change the engine or something. But you're never going to have to deal with headers cracking. And I mean, we've all been at the track and had a header tube crack, and you're trying to wrap a beer can around it and hose clamp it, and I mean, you're not going to have that problem with stainless, as long as they're welded correctly and everything, which we do.
You might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so what about the final fitting? Do you weld them up first and then put them back in the car, or do you have to take them back to the car?
So typically I will tack everything together. Then I actually take all the primary tubes off, except for one, off the flange. Weld all the tubes up. Then I put them back into the flange. Tack them. Typically I'll tack them back in the flange, test fit them again, because things move when you weld these tubes up. Mm-hmm. So if you got to do a little bit more tweaking before you weld it to the flange. But the welding it to the flange is the last thing I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So okay, you're clamping everything down because you're getting ready to do the finishing touch and add the collector. I've seen different kinds of them. What's the difference here? What are we doing?
Well, I'm getting ready to put a formed collector on there, which is like your standard collector. It's not really my my most enjoyable collector to install. It's very time consuming, and I would always recommend that customers go with a merge style collector, which is a slip-on collector. A lot of times when you have different tubes coming from, like if you have a flange that's cut and you have multiple piece headers, you need a merge style collector, like a slip-on collector at least, because you have to actually put the whole thing back together on the car. But this style here, since the header's all together, you could put a formed collector on it and weld it all the way on. Like I said, not really my favorite, but it's cost effective, and it's fine.
So there you have a standard collector, a merge collector. Is there anything else? Are there any other kind?
Yeah, you could do like a slip-on collector, not necessarily a merge collector, but through Stainless Works, basically you're either going to get a merge collector, which is a slip-on collector, or a form collector. So
there's two options.
There's two options from Stainless Works, and that's what we deal with. So those are going to be your.
Okay. So you got to think of all these options when you're getting ready to get your headers built. Custom headers built. Deep top block. Custom headers, Stainless Works. Jason's done several of them before he even started here. Now he's doing them here. So if you want some headers that won't fall apart and last you forever, come on in.